she's used to her place.
There we go. Ah, here comes Emily Smithman.
Oh, good. Emily's coming on.
Ah,
Good.
she too.
Emily's coming on.
And we guess.
Okay. Double joke.
There we go.
I'm just going to go.
Oh, wait, I think I just clicked the wrong.
Hello.
Wait, where am I?
And you're all, it's black. Your screen.
I know, I have a thing covering my camera. Hi, everyone.
I am
Oh,
about
no,
to
I
do.
don't want, no, I'm.
Yeah, so Shabbat Shalom, everyone. And Happy New Year. Here we are back in my home and back in all of your homes, hopefully just for another week or so. But it's so nice to be ringing in the new year together. And so we're gonna, for anyone who doesn't have a copy of Kol HaNeshama handy, I'm gonna put a link to the PDF in the chat. So that we can all follow along in the Siddur together. It's tiny dot, I'll paste it in a second, but yeah, tiny.cc/KN Shabbat. So that we can all literally be on the same page together. And it'll be wonderful. And so if you are joining us tonight, I mean, I guess if you're joining us tonight on YouTube, please take a second and introduce yourselves, share your name and where you're joining us from tonight. And if you are here on Zoom, you can all see one another. And I'm going to say Shabbat Shalom to Michelle and Brian and Doug and Rich and Amy and Robert and Emily and Jeff and Jerry and Sharon and Jules and Ruth and Taco and Sue and Stu. It's so wonderful to be here. And as we learn who else is here tonight, we'll say Shabbat Shalom by name as well, so that we can all, even if we can't physically see one another, we can all join together across space, time, and maybe even time zones tonight to ring in Shabbat together in this final and first Shabbat of the new year. It's really seldom that that New Year's spans a Friday night, Saturday. And so usually we get to say, the last Shabbat of the year or the first Shabbat of the year. The magical thing about the whole, there was evening and there was morning, a first day, or the first or day number one, right? It doesn't become a second day until day number one is already done, is that this Shabbat gets to span. It gets to be a liminal space between one year and the next. That space of twilight, that space of sunrise, that space of betwixt and between, where everything and anything is possible. And isn't that just the stuff of New Year's already? So we'll start as we light the Shabbat candles on page 5. And we're lighting some very special Shabbat candles tonight, and we're going to try very hard not to burn down my house. Baruch atah Adonai, thank you, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu le'adlik ner shel Shabbat. Yada nai nai nai, yada nai nai nai, yada nai 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 nai, yada nai nai nai, yada nai nai nai, yada nai nai nai, yada nai 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 nai, yada nai nai nai, yada nai nai yada nai nai nai, yada nai 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 nai, yada nai nai nai, yada nai nai nai, yada nai nai nai, yada nai nai nai. We're on page 7. Yedid nefesh avarachaman משוך עבדך אל רצונך, ירוץ עבדך כמו היעל, ישתחווה אל מול הדרך, תרב לו ידידותך, מנוף עצוב וכל טעם, the last verse. Yigalena ufros chavivi alai et sukat shelomecha ayir eretz michvodecha nagila v'nismechavach Maher ahuv kiva moed v'choneni ki me'olam Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom to Lucy and Manny and those of us who've joined us since I last said Shabbat Shalom. It's great to all be together tonight. I copy pasted the link to the Siddur in the chat earlier, but I just dropped it in again for anyone who has joined recently and doesn't have access to it. If you don't have a Siddur at home, we are in, of course, Kol HaNeshama. Although the Shabbat evening service is fairly standard, no matter which Siddur you're using, we just won't have the same page numbers. And so we'll turn to page 25, Psalm 96. For this new year, singing a new song, Shiru Ladonai, Shir Hadash, sing a new song unto God, sing a new song, Kol Haaretz, right? This is the Gregorian New Year. This is the new year that, unlike Rosh Hashanah or Tu B'Shvat or even Pesach or the Chinese New Year, or any of the new years in our culture and across cultures, this is the new year that at least most folks around the world understand as one of the new years, right? This is our common new year. So Shiru Ladonai Kol Haaretz. We will all sing a new song unto Adonai, unto the source of all in this new year. What will each of our new songs be? So actually, feel free to share that in the chat. What is your new song for the new year? Do you have anything new that you are starting or want to start, or anything that's going on in your life that's not serving you right now that you're trying to toss aside? What is your Shir Hadash? What is your new song in this new year? Shiru Ladonai, Shir Hadash, Shiru Ladonai, Kol Haaretz, Shiru Ladonai, Baruch Hu Shemo, Basaru miyom leyom Yeshuato, Shiru Ladonai, Shir Hadash, Shiru Ladonai, Kol Haaretz, Shiru Ladonai, Baruch Hu Shemo, Basaru miyom leyom Yeshuato, Basaru miyom leyom Yeshuato, Basaru miyom leyom Yeshuato. 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 Basaru miyom leyom Yeshu a new song, also perhaps new liturgy as we move into this new year. I want to share a contemporary prayer, a prayer for the return of sanity, sourced from Ritual Well in this week's Shabbat box from Reconstructing Judaism by Suzanne Sabransky. You can join with me in reading aloud if you want. But as we step in from one year into the next, God of compassion, blow away the smoke, put out the fires, let your cleansing rains fall, wash over us with peace, remove the roots of racism and hatred, till the earth with new beginnings and hope, replace the spoiled with freshness. So much has befallen our world, one weight building upon another until the foundation has cracked, until our supports have begun to crumble. We need you to hear our cries. We beseech you to hear our prayers. We are lost inside a nightmare, and we have forgotten how to wake ourselves. This is a time of mass insanity, a constellation of hardships and trials. We have strayed from your pathways, and we fear perhaps you have forsaken us. We are lost as we never have been before. We have survived wandering the desert. We searched until we found the promised land. Now we are destroying all that you have built. We need your help and your mercy now. Show us how to correct our course. We need to find our way back to you so this world can become Eden once again. Lift us, awaken us, care for us, open our eyes, ears, and hearts. Stop the pain, frustration, and smoldering anger, and we will endeavor to be who you meant us to be. A Prayer for the Return of Sanity by Suzanne Sabransky. We turn to page 41 for Lecha Dodi. Lecha Dodi is the piyut, the hymn, I suppose, that it's the best translation of piyut that I know. Interesting, isn't it? That evokes the welcoming of the Shabbat bride, welcoming in Shabbat. So we just read in that beautiful prayer by Suzanne Sabransky that in this moment where we perhaps as a human race, as a civilization, a culture have lost our way, one of the tools to getting back is to welcome in one another, to welcome in the divine presence, to welcome in holiness, godliness, oneness again. Not close ourselves up from, but be open to. And each Shabbat, let it not be by rote, but by intention, by kavanah, that we sing Lecha Dodi, that we open up ourselves to the possibility of rest coming into our lives, of an extra soul peace coming into us to elevate us and refresh us, of the possibility of welcoming in Shabbat, that me'ein olam haba, that taste, that glimpse, that glimmer, that little lick of the world to come. Because that is an incredible kavanah and intention to be able to enter each and every week with, so that we don't lose track of our own sanity. So Lecha Dodi, a medieval technology that we grab onto and imbue with new meaning in this moment as a weekly tether to remind ourselves of the possibility that comes with opening ourselves up and greeting the Kabbalat Shabbat, the Shabbat Kala, one another's faces, the Shabbat bride. Page 41. Lecha dodi likrat kala yananai 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala yananai 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad. Ishmianu el hameyuchad ay Adonai echad u'shemo echad l'shem ultiferet v'litchila. Hey, lecha dodi likrat kala yananai 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala yananai 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'neelcha ki mekor haveracha ay merosh mikedem nesucha sof ma'aseh b'machshava tefila. Hey, lecha dodi likrat kala yananai 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala yananai 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Top of page 45. Hitoreri, hitoreri. Kiva orech kuhumi uri ay uri uri. Shir daveri kivod Adonai alayich nigla. Hey, lecha dodi likrat kala yananai 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala yananai 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Top of page 47. Yamin usmol tifrotzi v'et Adonai ta'aritzi ay al yadish ben partzi ben nismecha v'nagila. Hey, lecha dodi likrat kala yananai 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala yananai 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. We rise as we face the entrance to our homes, our dining rooms, our living rooms, our dens, our studies. As we greet the Shabbat bride facing outwards toward one another. Boi v'shalom ateret bala gam besimcha uvetzochol ay tochemune am segula boi chala. Hey, lecha dodi likrat kala yananai 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala yananai 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Yanai yanai yananai yanai yanai yananai yananai yananai. Hey, lecha dodi likrat kala yananai 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. And Shabbat Shalom to Harriet and to Amy and who've joined us on YouTube since we last said Shabbat Shalom to one another, and to Shelley, who has joined us since we on Zoom since we've last said Shabbat Shalom to one another. Please take a second if you haven't already, especially if you're joining us on YouTube, to take a second and introduce yourself in the chat. Share your names and where you're joining us from, because as we are tonight here, especially on two platforms, to let one another know who's here in Armenian tonight as we join together for this both last and first Shabbat of the old and new year. Page 49, Psalm 92, a psalm for Shabbat. Mizmor shir le'om haShabbat, tov lehodot la'Adonai, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון, להגיד בבוקר חסדך, ואמונתך בלילות, עלי עשור ועלי נבל, עלי היגיון בכינור, מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון, כי שמחתני אדוני בפועלך, במעשה ידיך רנן. מה גדלו מעשיך אדוני מאוד, עמקו מחשבותיך. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. Page 51 at the asterisk. צדיק כתמר יפרח, כרז בלבנון יזכה, שתולים בבית אדוני, בחצרות אלוהינו יפריחו. עוד ינובון בסבע, דשנים ורעננים יהיו, להגיד כי ישר אדוני צורי, ולא עוולה תבוא. 53. Adonai malach Yehud lavish lavish Adonai ozit azarav tikon tevil baltimod. עדותיך נאמנו מאוד, לביתך נאווה קודש, אדוני לאורך ימים. Page 57. We rise in spirit or in body for the Baruch Hu, and I want to share how wonderful and beautiful it is to be here on New Year's Eve, 12 screens strong, far more people than that, but 12 screens strong here on Zoom, and at least 6 screens strong on YouTube, far more than a minyan, probably at close to 20 or 25 people here in our digital sanctuary tonight, making more than double a minyan here on this New Year's Eve, because I don't know about you. I don't know if it's you guys or the Omicron or both, but there's certainly nowhere else I'd rather be tonight than here on Shabbat, bringing in Shabbat and the new year with all of you. Page 57. As we bless the source of life, so we are blessed. As we bless the source of life, so we are blessed. And the blessing gives us strength and makes our vision clear. And the blessing gives us peace and the courage to dare. As we bless the source of life, so we are blessed. Baruch hu et Adonai hamevorach.
Baruch Adonai hamevorach leolam vaed.
Baruch Adonai hamevorach leolam vaed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bidvaro mariv aravim bechokma poteach sharim uvivuna mishane etim aliv et hazmanim usader et hakochim u'shmutim barak yakir tzonu. ומעביר יום ומהביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו, אל חי וקיים, דם ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד, ברוך אתה אדוני, המרי ברבים. Page 63. אהבת עולם, בית ישראל, עמך אהבת, עמך אהבת, תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת, אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו בשוכבנו ובקומנו נשיח בחוקיך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד, כי הם חיינו באורך ימינו ובהם נהגי יומם ולילה, נהגי יומם ולילה. באהבתך לא תסור ממנו לעולמים, ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל, אוהב עמו Yisrael. Page 65. The Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בהם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם מאוד על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. והיה עם שמות תודה שלוחים מצווך אדוני. We continue silently with one of the two biblical selections that follows. Excuse me. Adonai Elohechem Emet. Page 77 and 79. Mi Chamocha, a song that our mythic ancestors sang at the sea in the moment of their liberation. Actually, it's our Torah portion in just a couple more weeks. As they crossed over from slavery in Egypt into the great unknown, that vast midbar, that wilderness. Anyone who can relate to the feeling of wandering through a wilderness towards liberation. But it's at the moment of crossing the sea that they sang the song. Sure, maybe they sang at Sinai also. There was probably singing, perhaps, as they prepared to cross over a generation or generation and a half later into the promised land. But here at the shores of the sea, as they came out of slavery, even though this vast unknown wilderness was still stretching before them, they sang. They sang because of the promise of liberation, the promise of freedom, the promise of something better at the other side of that midbar. And so I want to invite us, if you're on YouTube, you'll have to share in the chat. If you're on Zoom, you can just unmute yourself and share. What liberation are you hoping to work towards in this new year? What do you hope to glimpse on the other side of the midbar, the wilderness of 2021? Ruth.
The end of constant PCR tests, rapid tests, and having to wait to see people until all the test results come back negative. And our PCR test came back negative today.
Woo! Yeah. Sue.
Just liberation from fear.
Liberation from fear. You know, Sue, I'm with you on that one. Liberation from fear and every action in my life needing to be a decision, an active cognitive decision.
Yep.
I want like passive, inconsequential decision making back again.
Agreed.
Others. Anyone else?
Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
a bad head, you know, just a bad head.
What?
A bad head,
A bad head.
a bad head. Yeah, I mean, it's a bad neighborhood up in here. It really is. It's not a good place to live. It really
Yeah.
isn't.
Liberation from the bad head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm also hoping for some liberation from narrow-mindedness and tribalism, right? That we can all like break down our boundaries and talk to one another and see one another's perspectives, and like liberation from the echo chamber that or at least liberation from being stuck in my echo chamber, that I'm able to tell better when I'm only listening to opinions that I'm really familiar with and opinions that already are in my like narrow bubble, to pop that and to be able to say, oh, wait, no, I'm being limited by the algorithms again. I need to get out into the bigger world and get out of that. That's some liberation I'm looking for this year.
Well said.
Well said.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I'll just chime in with liberation
Rich.
from the liberation from the stigma and the ableism and the sexism and the ageism that is in our workplaces and sometimes in some communities, and just be done with that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I also want to pick up around that. I've been having a lot of conversations this week about fear of stigma around COVID positivity. And I really, really, really want us to continue to be liberated from and not start being trapped by wondering what someone did wrong if they test positive from COVID, right? Were they not careful enough? Where did they not wear their mask, right? That when someone is ill, be with them and allow them to be cared for and not judged. Let us never, ever, ever enter into that place of stigmatizing someone because they've gotten sick. Yeah, Robert. Oh, you're muted, Robert. Here, I'll unmute you. There you go. You're good.
Oh. So that, just expanding on that a little bit, I would like to stop judging the unvaccinated. And by the same token, I'd like to see them get vaccinated.
Yeah.
But that feeling of constantly judging the unvaccinated bothers me.
Yeah. Nice. Nice. It's beautiful. And Harriet just wrote in the chat as well, liberation from being stuck in all ways. And so let's take these things that we hope to be moving towards, these liberations, whether they're small L, big L, whether they're personal, communal, societal, and bring them with us and collapse them into this little song out of time, right? That can be sung in ancient times, contemporary times, and any time in between. Micha Mocha. On the bottom of page 77 and page 79, a song of freedom, redemption, and promise that there is in fact liberation, that we are all walking, marching, working towards, struggling towards on the other side of the Midbar. Umalchuto beratzon kiblu alehem Moshe uMiriam uvnei Yisrael echadu shirav simcha rabba ve'ameru chulam. Hey, Micha Mocha, Micha Mocha, Micha Mocha, Micha Mocha, Micha Mocha, Micha Mocha, Ba'elim Adonai. Mika mocha, Mika mocha, Mika mocha, Mika mocha, Mika mocha, Mika mocha, Nedar Bakodesh, Nora Tehilot, Osei, Fele, Nora Tehilot, Osei, Fele. Malchutecha, Rauvanecha, Bokei Hayam, Lifnei Moshe Ze'eli, Anu ve'ameru, Donai Yimloch leholam, Va'ed Adonai Yimloch leholam, Va'ed V'nemar kifad Adonai et Yaakov ugalom yad chazak mimenu baruch ata Adonai gal Yisrael. Page 81. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'amidenu malkeinu l'chaim ufros aleinu sukat Sukat Shalom Echa Ufros Aleinu Sukat Sukat Shalom Echa. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Sukat Shalom Echa. Ushmor tzeitenu v'oinu l'chaim u'l'shalom me'ata ve'ad olam. Ufros aleinu sukat shalom echa. Baruch ata Adonai. Haporei sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'al Yerushalayim. We rise in spirit or in body. So we honor Shabbat with Vishamru. Veshamru v'nei Yisrael et Shabbat la'asot et Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Veshamru v'nei Yisrael et Shabbat la'asot et Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Beini uvein bnei Yisrael oti leolam, oti leolam, oti leolam. Veshamru bnei Yisrael et Shabbat la'asot et Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם וביום השביעי שבת וינפש ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה ויעמד דברי חירותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי כל בית ישראל בעגלה ולזמן קריב ויאמרו
Amen.
יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם לעולמי יתברך יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה לעילא מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה Amidah for Erev Shabbat, silent in the evening, begins on page 91. We'll begin together with Adonai Sifatai Tiftach. Adonai Sifatai Tiftach ufi agid tehilatecha. Open my lips, beloved one, and let my mouth declare your praise. Od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu, ve'al kulam. Od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu, ve'al kulam. Salam. Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam, Salam, salam, salam. Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam. Od yavo shalom aleinu. Od yavo shalom aleinu. Od yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Od yavo shalom aleinu. Od yavo shalom aleinu. Od yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam. Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam, salam. Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam. Od yavo shalom aleinu. Od yavo shalom aleinu. Od yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Shabbat Shalom. Welcome back out of this space of our silent Amidah, space of our most private and introspective part of our Shabbat evening service, and into our most outward facing part, our Mishaberach L'Cholim, our prayer for healing and wholeness. I know that there is probably not a single one of us here tonight who does not have at least one new person to add to a Misha Berach list this week. At least if your orbits are in any way similar to mine, including our very own Barbara Weissman, who is feeling much better, but is recovering from COVID-19. And so I want to invite you to share in the chat, or out loud, as I reach the end of our congregational Misha Berach list, anyone who you're thinking of who's in need of healing, a little bit of healing, a lot of healing, long-term healing, short-term healing, healing of body, mind, spirit, mental health. When we say body, mind, spirit, the mind is definitely talking about all of the ways in which mental health is very much an illness to be kept at the forefront in all times, but especially a grouping of illnesses that we cannot allow to be invisible in this time at which isolation and recurring trauma is exacerbating so much for so very many of us. And so we hold for healing all of those who are in need of healing in our communities, in our families, in our neighborhoods, our concentric circles of community, and in our homes. And this week at Or Hadash, we're thinking of and sending our hopes and our energy for healing and wholeness to Andrea Abrams Herbert, James Alberts, Fran Anderson, Roberta Archibald, David Ash, Arden, Barry, and Carol Mueller-Bell, Rabbi Deborah Bowen, Robin Cupo, Frankie Deaver, Faye Fishman, Marcy Fish, Joan Flaherty, Rhoda Gansler, Eric Gershman, Jonathan Giannini, George and Gail Glansberg, Cordula Hamish, Chava Hurley, Sharon Cass, Moss Kaufman, Beverly and Howard Kaufman, Fran Kaufman, Richard Krasen, Elsie Lieberstein, Robert Mueller, Anthony Nero, Lisa Nicholson, Jennifer Riley and Thomas Pablo, Stan Pollock, Pearl Ritterman, Abby Rosenberg, Mike Rosenberg, Shelley Sanders, Willie Schneer, Bertha Schwartz, Marlene Sortino, Lloyd Suter, Howard Temple, Lynn Van Engel, Brandy Wazliewski, Stan Weckstein, Millie Weissman, Barbara Weissman, Grace Zangwill, Eileen Zeff, Yakshir Cutler, Charlotte and Sam Weinstein, Adam Chevitt Goldman, Patrick Gibson, Max Fowler, Aaron Gibson, Blue, Shlomo Ben Avram Vachaya, Dan Paulette, Marley Kiefer, Sherry Fox, Rachel Rosenfeld, 2 times, Nancy Leonard, Willie, Brandy, and Matt, Fran Anderson, Marty Applebaum, Doug Proudman, Rob Johnson, Glenn Upjohn, Tammy Holt and family, Eric Griffin Shelley, Dave Chapman, Hugh Stevenson, Marissa Goldman, Fran Solomon, Damon Solomon, Mel Gottesfeld, Judy Flecker Garcia, Craig Hyman, Nancy Hyman, and Sarah, Ezra, and Amy. Are there others? Make sure you unmute yourself if you're saying a name. All of our friends suffering with COVID, too many to list. So true, Stu. Mishaberach Avotenu Mikor HaBracha Laimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishaberach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. As we turn to page 119 for Kiddush, we also turn from our prayer for healing to our prayer for celebration, where our cup fills to the brim, perhaps overflows with joy in celebration and sanctification of Shabbat, but also in celebration. It's become our tradition to celebrate new things, simchas, birthdays, anniversaries, new occasions, little things and big things to celebrate. So if there's something that you're celebrating, shout it out by chat or by unmuting yourself and shouting it out as we get ready to raise up our glasses for Kiddush. What are you celebrating tonight? And also I'm going to call, oh, Kiddush helper. What are we celebrating tonight? What?
A new car.
Ooh, a new car. Awesome.
It's coming. It's coming. It's on
It's
order.
coming. Is there a blessing for a new car?
Is it there?
I don't know, but if it lasts,
the wine.
no, you have the grape juice. No, but if it lasts to 13 years, I'll give it a car mitzvah. Or maybe that's a 13,000 miles.
I have 2 cars that did.
There you go. Once you've had it for 13,000 miles, we'll do a car mitzvah. Hey, not
Okay.
yet. We have to say Kiddush.
Excellent.
And I promised everyone bubbly. So it's a little more
Yeah,
BYO
bubbly.
than I had hoped. But we'll raise our glasses in
Bubbly.
Kiddush.
Yes, we do, lovely. Yes, we do.
New TV set.
Hey. Yes, and lifting it up to a happy new year.
Today's
So let's all
National
fill our
Champagne
Kiddush
Day.
cups. What?
Today's National Champagne Day.
Thanks, Manny. You're always, we can always count on you for the day of the day.
Right, right.
Oh, I think we can do
Cool.
better than that for Kiddush. Come on, Kiddush.
All right.
Does it count if the bubbles go all the way to the top? There you go. All right, let's stand up for Kiddush bean. You ready? 2 hands on the Kiddush cup. Your Kiddush cup. There you go. We're double Kiddush cupping today. Savri Chavirai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho kevu v'ahava u'ratzon hinchilanu zikaron le'maaseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila lemikra'ei kodesh zecher letziat mitzrayim ki eleinu karata v'otanu kidashta la'avotatecha v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava u'vratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai. Careful. Mekadesh HaShabbat L'chaim, l'chaim.
People die, Bill.
Yeah, I know.
Ah, yes, and a big l'chaim to seeing Jules and Ruth, to seeing two of our granddaughters after our and their PCR test came out negative. That is definitely l'chaim worthy. L'chaim. And we're going to stay just in the very same position we're in right now as we turn to page 121 for Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol lateitz gedula liotzer breshit shenatan lanu torat emet v'chayei olam nata v'tocheinu v'anachnu korim umishtachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu shenu v'shavio sedaret u'moshavio. Kakatuv b'toratecha Adonai imlach le'olam va'ed v'nemar v'haya Adonai le'melech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yiyeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad. We can be seated. As we turn to Mourner's Kaddish on page 131, we turn in our hearts and in our memories to all of those whom we've loved and lost this season in years past. Tonight at Or Hadash, we remember Lillian Newman, mother of Judy Marlowe, Israel Axelrod, grandfather of Mike Roden, Bob Ehrlich, father of Michelle Smithman, Ruth Belzer, it's the first Yortzeit, the mother of Elisa Belzer, Edward Roberts, father of Robert Goldberg Edward Alberts, father of Robert Goldberg Alberts, George Marlowe, father-in-law of Judy Marlowe, Adele Raisman, mother-in-law of Lucy Raisman, Lisa Gardner, wife of Charles Gardner, Bernie Roman, grandfather of Jeff Roman, and Martin Schmuckler, father of Anita Schmuckler. If there's anyone else that you're saying Kaddish for, I want to invite you to share their name in the chat so we can recall all of their names and their memories and bring them into our presence tonight. We're also in the period of Shloshim, actually still in the period of Shiva, for Herta Kane, mother of Vivian Kane, grandmother of David and Sarah Schacht, who passed on the 28th. We're also remembering tonight Sean Dennery, and of course, although she has not yet been laid to rest, Betty White, who passed today. And here we all thought perhaps she was immortal, but just like us, Sue, we're on the same wavelength. We lost an immortal today, Betty White. We're also remembering Esther Murrow. And also, although we're not yet saying Kaddish for him yet, I'm sad to announce the passing very, very, very late last night of Arnold Burson, father of Alan Burson, father-in-law of Cheryl, grandfather of Jessica, Eliana, and Risa. Information will go out just after Shabbat. Shiva details are still coming together, but it looks like his funeral is going to be graveside for family, but live streamed. And I'll include the link in the email just after Shabbat tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. And that there will be Shiva on Sunday night, Monday night, and likely also Tuesday, Wednesday night, Thursday night. Again, but details are still firming up for that. But it looks like there's going to be 7 p.m. Shiva evenings this week. And so we send our condolences to the Burson family on that loss as they prepare to lay Albert to rest. I want to invite mourners, all of those observing a Yortzeit, and all of those whose tradition it is to rise for Kaddish, to rise for Mourner's Kaddish, and I'm rising tonight also, and especially for all of those who've lost their lives during the year 2021, especially those who've lost their lives to gun violence, overdose, domestic violence, and COVID-19. Mourner's Kaddish, page 131. Yitkadal, Yitkadash Shemech Rabbah.
Amen.
Elma Divrach Yerutei V'Yamlich Malchutei B'chayechon V'Yomechon U'V'chayei V'Yechol Beit Yisrael Ba'agala U'Mizman Kariv Imru Amen.
Amen.
Yehei Shmei
Shmei
Rabbah
Rabbah Barach Olam Olameh Olmaya.
Barach V'Yishtabach V'Yitpa'ar V'Yitchomam V'Yitnaseh V'Yithadar V'Yitalev V'Yithalal Shemeh
Berchu.
La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tush b'chata v'nechemata d'amiran d'alma v'imru. Amen.
Amen.
Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'amen.
Amen.
Osei shalom v'rama ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru.
Amen.
Seated. And as we prepare to conclude our service together with Adon Olam on page 133, I want to remind everybody that tomorrow morning, Torah study and Shabbat morning services are all online on Zoom, right? Right at a different link, but right here. It'll look the same, just at the regular Shabbat morning link, not the Friday night link. If you come on and there's no one here, it's because you clicked the Friday night link again and not the Saturday morning link. So check yesterday's daily links. Or no, not yesterday, Friday morning, the yesterday of tomorrow, today. Oy, I know. Yeah, so 9 o'clock Torah study, 10 o'clock Shabbat service. And as a reminder, of course, there is no Smile School on January 2nd. And for those who are Smile School parents, grandparents, or Smile School adjacent, it looks like we are going to be digital for the first week of Smile School after we get back from winter break, as everyone from all their different schools, comes back into contact with one another and all of that, as not to be part of the multi-school post-holidays kid mixing. It looks like we're going to be digital for at least that first Sunday after we're back. This week on Tuesday at 7 p.m. is our healing service, also on Zoom. That's Tuesday the 4th. Please, it would be wonderful for everyone to come. It's just a great space for healing and to be together and to share. And so for more information, be in contact with Debbie Carl. And also on this Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday evening at 7:30 is the 12-step Chavurah. Each month, the first Wednesday of the month is our 12-step Chavurah. Be in touch with Rich Davis or Eileen Jaffe for more information. All are welcome, whether you are in recovery or not, or just interested in learning more about 12-step and the process and the spirituality of 12-step. Be in touch with Rich or Eileen for more information. This is not a Monday night Torah study week. Is it a book group week, book groupers? It is not a book group week. Is it a Mahjong week, Mahjongers?
No.
No Mahjong.
The 11th.
The Mahjong is the 11th. All right. So those are all the announcements that it's fit to announce. My New Year's resolution is clear and concise announcements in the new year. And we'll conclude together on page 113 with Adon Olam.
Oh, I can't reach it.
Adon Olam Asher Malach B'Terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Li'eit Nasa B'Chef So Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Ve'acharei Kichlot HaKol Levado Yimloch Nora Ve'hu Haya Ve'hu It works. Vehu echad v'yein sheni laham shelo lehachvira. Beli reshit beli tachlit velo haoz v'hamisra. Vehu eli v'chai goali v'tzor chevli v'yetzara. Vehu nisi umanos li menat kosi v'yom ekra. Beyado af kidluchi v'yeti shan ve'aira. Ve'imruchi keviati Adonai li velo ira. Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot and days of old lang syne? Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat
Shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Have a
Shabbat
wonderful
shalom.
and a happy and a healthy new year from our home to your home.
Yes.